Also here at the convention, NCBA elected a new leader. Nebraska native J.D. Alexander has deep roots in the cattle industry. He's got decades of experience serving on local, state, and national organizations and is a veteran of industry trade missions around the world. He's also the new president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter has more.
J.D. Alexander believes his part of eastern Nebraska is one of the best places in the world to raise cattle.
We're above the Ogallala Aquifer, which is a natural underwater lake, which allows us to have irrigation wells that are not very deep to irrigate the ground. That, of course, grows the corn to feed the cattle. Where there's corn, the ethanol industry has popped up, and we're very heavily users of the ethanol byproducts. The other thing that's very unique about us is we have access to a lot of feeder cattle. You know, we can go in a big radius, and anymore the trucking seems to be a non-issue, that we'll haul cattle for 1,000 miles to come into our feedlot. And the final really good thing about our location and in our feedlot is when we go to our final product and sell to the packers, we have 5 major packers within 150 miles that we have an opportunity to sell to.
A third-generation cattle feeder, J.D. was born and raised on his family's operation and has spent most of his life here.
Today we're about a 5,000 head feedlot. We'll try and market around 12 to 13,000 or so head of cattle a year. We also have 2,000 acres of row crop, which we primarily grow as corn. We feed it all to our cattle, plus we have to buy about another fair amount to utilize all of it. So we're a very family-orientated operation.
Along with his wife Deb and their children, J.D. is working to ensure the next generation of Alexanders will be able to stay in the cattle industry. And he says that's one of the reasons he's been active for years in the National Cattlemen's Beef Association.
I guess I got started very young. I liked it. It gave me a chance to meet other people in our business, professionals and so on. Opened up a different array of things that you can do to affect your business. And I kind of just enjoyed that, liked the people, and so I've been involved in it ever since. Very much looking forward to the next year as serving as president of NCBA.
As NCBA President, J.D. will spend much of the year on the road, traveling to represent the industry's interests at home and abroad. It's something his family says he's well prepared for.
It's something that I'm really glad for him to do. Really, there's no better man for the job. He knows all facets of the beef industry inside and out. He's been kind of stepped his way up through the program, started on local levels, worked up to state, national, and now, of course, becoming president of NCBA, he's kind of done it all. And it's not very often that a son gets to say he's proud of his father. Usually it's the other way around. So it truly makes me feel good to say, my dad is doing something that's great.
Whatever he wants to get done, he'll get done. I know that about him. And he's taught all of us that whatever you want in life, never be satisfied, but always be humble and just keep going. And he's gonna do it.
When I met J.D. 40 years ago, he was a leader, but he was a quiet leader. And in the last 40 years, probably has found his voice. I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. He'll be a great spokesperson for the producer. He's very concerned about the industry. It's his passion, it's his love. And I think it's going to be an exciting adventure for everyone.
Because of his experience within NCBA, J.D. is a believer in the value of cattlemen and women being unified on the critical issues that impact their operations and the cattle industry.
We're a grassroots organization, so if you have an issue that you want to bring up, you have a voice to bring that to the highlight and have the organization respond to what your needs are. So I look at it too as it's a great camaraderie. I'm a believer in working with your fellow neighbors and working together and joining forces and having something very worthwhile fighting for.
There's power in numbers, and you will find your voice in the numbers. J.D. will be very approachable As far as leading the organization, he'll listen to you, listen to your concerns. It's hard to get things accomplished on your own, and I think NCBA has the best interest of all producers involved in the industry.
As NCBA President, JD expects to take on a wide variety of issues, including government overregulation, expanding international markets, global competition, and the shrinking cattle herd.
Our numbers right now are about as low as they've ever been. And the concern is if you create such a demand, you just want to make sure you can be able to supply it as well. I am confident that the market will move in directions to where these things will even out, and while we're increasing demand for our product around the world, that we will be able to supply it.
Being NCBA president will mean a lot of time on the road for JD, but that's something he's used to, thanks to another of his passions.
So I enjoy going out and motorcycling. It's a good way to be out in the open. Can do it pretty easily from this part of the world, but I really do enjoy going on trips in particular. I've got some friends that we usually go on a trip about once a year and see some very beautiful country across the United States.
JD's passion for the industry, his depth of experience, and his ability to connect with others all have prepared him for his new role as NCBA president. And his love of family will help him stay connected to home.
It's going to be tough, but thank goodness for technology. He's already gone quite a bit even in this last year. And so with technology, there's always cell phones, email, text. They're great tools for this job. And so even when there's questions, he's only a phone call or a text away. JD's a huge family man, and that's, family is what got him to where he is today. And I know he won't ever forget it, but that's one thing I always remind him is there's always people back here who love and think about him even when he's 2,000 miles away overseas.
I've always been a believer in being part of something bigger than just yourself. And I guess it kind of got instilled in me early on, actually, before I actually came back to the operation, is you have professional organizations that look out for the betterment of your industry. And I realized that you really need this. You need camaraderie. You need to have fellow cattlemen work together to work for the betterment of the industry to make it a better place to work in.
Reporting from Pilger, Nebraska, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
And J.D. Alexander joins us now in the studio. J.D., thanks for being here.
Glad to be here and having a great time.
Well, besides having a record-setting convention, what do you point to as some of the key accomplishments over the past year?
2011 was a great year. Number one, we had a tremendous market in all aspects of our industry, no matter what form you're in as far as a producer. We're going to build off those successes and continue to move forward. I'm convinced that 2012 is going to be a great year to be a cattleman.
There are some opportunities, but I would suggest there's also some issues that we have to navigate our way through. And what do you see as some of the key ones?
We have opportunities, but you're exactly right. We're always going to have issues, and that's why we need to be present at the table all the time to be looking out for them. One of the major ones that I really think we're going to have our really hands full is the estate tax. In our operations, we want to hand them off to the next generation, and we really need to do that to fulfill our industry, to keep it sustainable. This estate tax is coming back into play, and it's going to revert back to the way it was many years ago. And if it doesn't get changed, it's going to be nearly impossible for many of our next generation producers to maintain our operations.
Yeah, that is a challenge. As you look ahead as the new president, I'm interested, what are your hopes and aspirations for this organization moving forward?
Well, first off, we're part of a tremendous organization and an industry. The thing I really enjoy is working on the state and national relationships with our affiliates in each of the states, as well as our qualified state beef councils in the checkoff division. So we really do have our hands full for the upcoming year. We're going to have our boots on the hill and going to continue the work we do as far as building demand through the Federation and the checkoff, and really looking forward to a great year.
I know you well enough to know you're a great man for the job. Good luck in the year ahead, J.D.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it and really excited.
Excellent. Join J.D. Alexander and become a member of NCBA. Call 1-866-USA-BEEF. You can also visit us online at beefusa.org.